Spawning down in the bottom right side, currently down 0-1, but showing us an awesome game number 1. It is indeed going to be Squirtle, and up in the top left side, it is going to be Curious. And Apollo, you were talking about him a little bit, how his builds are crazy. So I want to ask you, like, what have you seen from him in the past, and any predictions on what we're going to be seeing from Curious here in Game 2?
The kind of builds I've seen from Curious, he goes fast layer at 6 minutes, he's gone 4-minute layer before, he's got Nidus Worms early on, Baneling, Roach Bust, anything. So he's not more of the traditional, Stefano, Don Gu kind of Zerg player. He's actually a unstable, unpredictable bomb about to go off at any moment in this game. So it's going to be very hard to predict what he's going to do here. And even though Ohana should be a more standard style of map for him to play on, it's very difficult to call. Very, very difficult.
And right now we do see Squirtle actually throwing down a pylon in his main base, which I can only assume is going to be for a gateway here. And what are your thoughts on gateway opening builds recently in the metagame for PvZ?
Well, gateway builds are pretty good here, but I think with the position of the pylon, it may not be gateway. I think it's going to be a Nexus first. And then that pylon at the back is actually going to be hiding his forge eventually. It's something that the Protoss players have been doing, well, especially Korean ones have been doing a little bit recently. The forge is now protected from busts early on, but they replace it with a cybernetics core, so it's like a double-edged sword. But it does hide if he's going to go for a +1 attack or not. And with the amount of probes he's queued up, it seems like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he hasn't thrown anything down, plus has rallied the probe down there. The timing is going to be perfect here. And I just got to say, man, if I'm Squirtle and I'm in these shoes and I just played my teammate who just beat me with a 6 or 7 pool, and I decided to expand first here, they must know each other a lot better than I do, because that would definitely kind of freak me out a little bit, knowing that those Zerglings should be there any second. And you got to remember that when you go for Nexus first, you're not scouting. You're just kind of taking a risk here. But it looks like it is going to pan out in his favor. There goes that forge that you mentioned.
Look at Curious, he's actually gone hatchery first here, which is a build that shouldn't really be used either against Protoss players. But both of these guys just mixing it up. Like you said, this Nexus first play would die to a 6 pool.
Wow.
The double hatchery before spawning pool. These guys know each other too well, and even though these big risks taken, it's calculated risk. Because if you go into Squiddle's, map number 2 here, and you say, all right, what's the percentage odd that he's going to 6-pool 2 games in a row? Like very, very low. So he can get away with the Nexus first. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lion was thinking on the same wavelength and said, well, if he's going to play like that, then I'll just go through hatchery before spawning pool.
Man, I almost feel like they had a discussion after last game and we're like, all right, that was pretty cheeseball, so let's just go ahead and do the absolute opposite here by macroing like crazy. And it is going to be tough for either player to end up winning here in the next couple of minutes, just because there's going to be a severe lack of units. Now, I do want to mention, though, that Squirtle did get his gateway seconds before he got his cannon here, so that is going to make his timing a little bit earlier than you might expect, as Squirtle, once again, was taking a bit of a risk there with that. Has already finished up his Nexus, is going to be rallying down there right now, and we do have a Cyber Core going to be going down. Lings are going to be on the way here. But I feel like right now that both these players can kind of transition into whatever it is that they want, because they're going to have the macro to back it up.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't be surprised for Squirtle to kind of go for some Immortal pushes on this map, because it is a 2-play map. It is relatively short, and he's very good at them. For anybody that watched the GSL, you would have seen how good he pulled it off with Warp Prism Micro as well. And he has the control, exceptional control, to pull something like this off. But the question is, will that work against a player who will have a faster and stronger economy than a regular Zerg player would have at that same stage of when the Immortal push would come?
Yeah, that's something that's absolutely important to realize, is that Curious took some big risks. Because, I mean, he went, as we mentioned, double hatchery before pool. That means both of those could have been blocked off by a single probe. And the fact of the matter is that Squirtle went for Nexus first. That wasn't going to happen here. So he's going to be feeling pretty good. Down goes that Robo relatively early. This can be scouted by Zerglings running up that ramp. Even if the Zerglings get sacrificed, they will still spot this. The Overlord in the back of the base here is not going to be able to spot that just yet. But for right...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Squirtle's cutting corners. He didn't get a Zealot, he didn't get a Sentry, went straight to Stalker. They squeezed that Robo out a little bit earlier than it should have been out. So the Immortal push could very easily be lined up because of this.
And also we saw 10 drones in production there as well for Curious here. So he seems quite content macroing on the back of this, but as we saw in the last game, he can kind of turn what he's doing on the drop of a hat. It can look like a big macro play, then all of a sudden you have just a ridiculous amount of units. Lair tech going to be on the way, and usually I would not expect Hydras, but I don't know what to expect out of Curious anymore after that first game. So we're going to have to see. The Immortal is on the way. He is supply blocked here, though, and that's about half duration of, oh no, it does look like he cleans up some supply right there to get that going. Dumps a Chrono Boost right away, and +1 attack is nearly done. So, I mean, Apollo, I really want to see how this plays out, because I feel like it's basically as you predicted, where he may be going for a 2-base timing with Immortal Sentry, but he is going to be going up against a stronger economy than usual.
He is, but if you look at what, Curious has, he doesn't have a Roach Warren, he doesn't have any Evolution Chambers, he won't have any upgrades, he'll be fighting against +1 Zealots and +1 Stalkers and everything else, so it looks like Curious is playing really, really greedy here, and may not expecting this kind of attack. So let's see how this is going to map out, because right now, this is what it's going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Immortal, because there's the additional gateways as well. Another Immortal is going to be out immediately. And this push is going to be so strong here. What exactly is Curious looking to do? And to be honest, he's at 4 gases. He's got a great amount of gas and resources to back it up with, but it's so far away till he can actually benefit from it.
Oh, man, looking at all 3 of these bases, it's actually absurd how many workers he has right now, as it is going to be 61 to 44. And at this point, I mean, the attack's going to be hitting pretty soon. He is waiting for 3 Immortals. The Warp Gate's going to be finishing up here. And look at this, he's even walled himself in, I believe, from his natural to his main base. So it looks like he's just saying, hey, if I lose this natural, I still have a lot of gateways to back this up with. The timing attack is going to be hitting right about now, right at around the 9-minute mark, as you would expect. But you got to remember, the Roach Warren's just now done. How many larvae are saved up? Is it enough? Because all he's making is 8 roaches and 12 lings here. And it's going to be non-stop unit production from both these players, and going to come down to unit composition and micro.
And that macro hash is really late for Curious too, and that's one thing that was kind of missing in his play. But right now, Squirtle has a very, very powerful attack coming. Look how many lings are out though. That's something to note. There are so many lings. So if one force field slips up and these lings get in, the game is basically over.
There are a lot of Protoss builds that rely on force fields. This is definitely going to be one of them, but the surround attack is gearing up. He needs to go right now. The Zergie's already getting too close. He's completely surrounded, and the force field there trying to hang on as long as he possibly can. Does finally clean up some of those links. Can he warp in enough units here? This is exactly how you have to do it, is make a complete circle around your units. Didn't suffer any major losses there. Actually, no losses, I think. It's like a 1,500 resource loss to only 150. And retaining the initial units while the attack is underway is exactly what you have to do. The Warp Prism's already arrived. He is now inside the natural, which means that 3rd base is exposed as well here. So this is looking pretty good for Squirrel. Needs to make sure, though, not to get surrounded by those links again.
And this is looking just unstoppable right now. It looks like Curious is a little bit too greedy, and Squirtle punishes it with a trademark all-in attack. And things are looking absolutely spectacular here for the StarTel Protoss player, and Curious is just caught in a world of what do I do here?
Yeah, and I mean, this game could actually be over here in just a matter of seconds. He's already in the main base. The natural has been all but taken out. I mean, yeah, there's drones there now, but he's cut off the reinforcements. Main base lair tech is going to get taken out. There's the quick G